Now on June 14th, 2026, what looked like a normal morning in Rio de Janeiro turned into a horrifying tragedy. Just before 9 a.m. local time, two helicopters reportedly collided in mid-air over the city's western zone. And after the collision, both helicopters came down in the area of a car dealership parking lot, sparking.
Before we get into this, RIP to Oliver Tree. Have y'all ever noticed that all the super rich people die in a plane crash or a helicopter crash? And if you look into why they died, it's always like something going on behind the scenes. Like Kobe died in a helicopter crash, but coincidentally, he was suing an energy company at the same time. You know, it's kind of weird. I'm just saying, you gotta draw the connection sometimes.
A fire that involved multiple cars. When firefighters arrived at the scene, the damage was devastating. 5 people were found dead in one of the helicopters, while a 6th victim was found in the second aircraft. 6 people lost their lives that morning, and one of the names on the passenger list was Oliver Tree. Oliver Tree was a 32-year-old artist known for his comedic image, his bowl-cut hair, his oversized clothes, and the way he turned internet weirdness into an actual music career. To some people, Oliver was just a meme, but to his fans, he was a real artist who built one of the most recognizable brands in music.
What songs
he had? Crash, Oliver was in Brazil during what was supposed to be the biggest tour of his life. Brazil! He had performed in Sao Paulo earlier that month. He still had more shows planned across the world, so he was right in the middle of another major chapter of his career. But within hours, his name was being reported as one of the victims in a fatal helicopter collision. And that's what makes this story feel so heavy, because this is not just a shocking headline about a famous artist. This was a crash that took 6 lives in a matter of moments. And what makes this story even more disturbing is how sudden it all was. Shortly before this happened, Oliver was seen on social media in Brazil, taking photos, spending time with some of his friends.
Like, maybe one like this.
And living through what looked like a normal break between tour dates. Then not long after that, he was reportedly inside this helicopter, flying over Rio de Janeiro. And the next moment, the helicopter was falling out of the sky. Oliver Tree was one of the 6 people who died in this crash. And among the other victims was a very popular Argentinian content creator named Gaspar Gaspi Prim. This news has obviously shocked a lot of people because of how sudden, tragic, and disturbing this entire situation is. So in this video, I want to break down what we know so far, what reportedly happened in the air, who was involved, and what investigators are still trying to figure out about this horrifying helicopter crash that took 6 lives. Now, for anyone who may not be familiar with Oliver Tree, he was a 32-year-old artist from Santa Cruz, California, whose real name was Oliver Tree Nickel. He was known for his bowl-cut hair, oversized clothes, scooter videos, strange and entertaining visuals, and this chaotic internet character.
It's crazy because I remember seeing some of like these posts. Like now that I'm seeing some of these pictures in the bowl cut, like I remember seeing him around a little bit. I don't think I heard any of his music, but he was definitely popular as hell. It's really crazy. I heard before he passed away, he exposed some super rich people. I forgot what exactly that he said, but he said something on stream that he wasn't supposed to be saying. And it's crazy. Not too long after that, he passed away. I'm just saying, you know, you got to connect the dots because it's not every day. You don't really hear about helicopter crashes and plane crashes every day.
That made him instantly recognizable. But that character was part of the art. Behind all the jokes and weirdness, Oliver had a real fan base, real music, and real impact. His song Life Goes On became one of his biggest records, pulling in over 700 million streams on Spotify. And he was still very much active. And at the time of this crash, Oliver had just kicked off what he called the biggest tour of his life. So this was not an artist looking back on what he had already done. He was still very much in motion. He was still building. And this is part of what makes this situation feel so unreal, because Oliver Tree was someone who made chaos feel funny. He made everything around him feel like a skit, a joke, or some kind of bizarre performance. But what happened in Brazil was not that. It was real life. So back to the world tour that Oliver was on. He was very excited about it. The tour started in Mexico City, then continued through Santiago, Chile, and then Buenos Aires, Argentina, and then Sao Paulo, Brazil, where he performed on June 6th. His next show was scheduled for July 1st in Lisbon, Portugal. So there was this gap between shows where Oliver was still in Brazil. And for a lot of artists, that kind of gap is normal. When you're on tour, every day is not just show after show. Sometimes there are breaks in between cities where artists rest, film content, work on music, meet people, explore the country, or just try to enjoy life before the next show. And from what Oliver was sharing online, that seemed to be the kind of space he was in. He was spending time with friends, taking photos, enjoying the country, and living through what looked like a normal break between tour dates.
As he should,
Nobody
as he
looking at
should.
these moments would have known what was coming next. In one specific video from Brazil, he was seen playing football in a Brazilian neighborhood, doing the kind of random
the favelas.
thing people expected from him. And then less than 2 days later, his name was being connected to a mid-air helicopter collision over Rio de Janeiro. Now, after the news started spreading, the big question became, how did this actually happen? Because I think this is where a lot of people's minds went first when the news initially broke. I mean, that's what I was thinking. When you hear a helicopter crash, you might think maybe there was a mechanical issue,
Right.
maybe the engine failed, maybe
Right.
something went wrong with the aircraft.
Right.
But then when the report started saying this was a mid-air collision, that made the situation even more disturbing, because now the question was not just why did one helicopter go down? The question became, how did two helicopters end up in the same place, in the same airspace at the same time? Because based on the reporting so far, this was not a situation where one helicopter simply malfunctioned and fell out of the sky. This was reportedly a mid-air collision. Boom. According to local Brazilian reporting, witnesses said two helicopters collided in the air over According to local Brazilian reporting, witnesses said two helicopters collided in the air over Recreio dos Bandeirantes.
But how do two helicopters collide in the air? Like, that's all I want to know. Don't y'all see each other? Don't, like, you know, aren't there communications? Like, you can't just fly a helicopter. I can't just get in a helicopter and fly a helicopter, bro. Like, I have to communicate with somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's just like an airline. Like, the airlines have to communicate with people, like, while they're in the air and stuff. So it's really weird to me that he just, you know, it doesn't really make a lot of sense that, I'm not saying it's his fault, but it's just fishy. Like, a lot of things don't be sounding right. So you're telling me he was in Brazil, he got in a helicopter, he collided with another helicopter, and he's also super rich and famous. When's the last time you heard about a helicopter crash, bro? Like, real talk, when's the last time you've heard of a helicopter crash or anything on that level? I just don't understand. I don't get it.
I believe that's how you pronounce it, in Rio de Janeiro's southwest zone. And the crash just happened before 9 a.m. Firefighters were reportedly called at 8:59 in the morning to the area near Avenida das Américas, close to Beth Lago and Rivadavia Campos streets. So that detail matters because this did not happen in some isolated field. This happened over a part of Rio where there were a lot of roads, businesses, buildings, and people nearby. Because when two helicopters collide over a populated area, the danger is not only to the people inside the aircraft, it's also to anyone on the ground. In this case, the helicopters came down in a commercial area near vehicles and buildings, and somehow the death toll did not extend beyond the people on board. But based on how violent this crash scene was, I mean, look at some of these photos I'm going to show you in a second, right? It's easy to understand how this could have become even worse. So according to local reporting, the helicopters came down on a piece of land that belonged to an abandoned church. The land had reportedly been rented by BYD, a Chinese company known for making electric vehicles, and was being used as a parking area for some of those cars.
It's crazy.
And when
Insurance got to pay for
hit
that.
the ground, it reportedly exploded. The explosion is what appears to have turned the crash site into a much larger fire scene.
That's
And based
messed
on
up.
the reports, it appears that the helicopter that was carrying the 5 people, which Oliver Tree was in, was the one that actually exploded. So
That's messed up, bro. That's really messed up. Like, I don't even have like any words for that. That's really, really messed up. And the only thing I can hope and pray for is that he died on impact. Like, as soon as the planes collided, the air helicopters collided, they just instantly blacked out. I would hope that, because I would hate for them to like have collided and then they like are alive still while they're crashing and then they only die when it blew up. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. That's wild as hell. And he was just getting his career, not getting his career started, but he was his best tour. Like, he was really like reaching his peak, reaching his pinnacle. It's unfortunate, man. It's just, you know, just why you gotta cherish every day and live it like it's your last, because you never know what can happen. Like, anything is possible. You can go outside and get hit by a car. You go on a roller coaster and fly off the roller coaster. You know, a lot of things can happen, man. You just gotta live life with a sense of urgency, man. RP to Oliver Tree.